Hello and welcome to the second round of the Super Formula Renault Japan Championship. We're here for 60 minutes of racing around the twisty circuit of Suzuka. And we're in for a action-packed open wheel style race. This is a 6-round championship. We've already done the first round, which was at Fuji Speedway. After Suzuka, in 2 weeks, we're going to head to Autopolis. And then for the 4th round, it's Sugo. And then 5th round, Twin Ring Motegi. And then the 6th round, ending just before Christmas in Okayama. So as I said, the last round was at Fuji, and it was an action-packed race, quite difficult to keep track of. But if it's the first time joining us, this is how it's going to go. So the race duration is 60 minutes, and points available start at 40. 36 and 30 for the podium, and then 28 onwards down the order. And we do have a mandatory pit stop. Now we are following the Super Formula calendar, but we are using the Formula Renault 3.5. So if we have a look at the track today, Suzuka, the main track used for Formula 1. 18 turns. It's the only track that actually bends back on itself, I believe. The layout hasn't changed for quite a number of years. It's a driver favourite, I believe. If we look at the current standings, so we've only done one round, so the points have yet to kind of shake out a little, but it was a dominant victory by Mate Daxdobler, or Dak Skobler. I really haven't got that name correct. With the rest of the order fighting over the remaining positions. It was strong showing from Oliveira. He had the pace to win, but unfortunately a couple of accidents dropped him back. Also a strong showing from Robin Taylor, and Costas in 4th there got caught up early on, and unfortunately had to work his way back up the field to a very good 4th position. So the practice times are in. It looks like people are on track and doing their thing. So let's have a look at what's going on. So it looks like the times are a little bit of a spread. We do have practice for another 10 minutes or so it would be good to see what kind of times people are doing. So pole at the moment in practice is 1:42.6, which at the moment is held by Nick Westy. I believe Nick Westy wasn't here for our first round. Let's have a look at the order. No, I don't believe Nick Westy was here for our first round. So newcomer to the series, always pretty much up at the top end of the field. But this circuit is going to lend itself to kind of a follow my leader through the first few turns. As we see Oliveira on an outlap. I've seen plenty of laps where they've been pushing it just a bit too hard. The concrete runoff has been quite useful for these cars, but it takes no prisoners in the back half of the circuit with gravel runoff. I'm not sure it's going to be very easy to get these Formula Renault cars out of the gravel. So just coming around the back half of the circuit. Now it's all important to get a good exit onto this back straight here, because this could be one of the only passing places. Unsure whether it's actually flat out around 130R there. Brake hard for the chicane. Back onto the main straight. Another passing opportunity if slipstream is possible up to turn 1. Braking hard into turn 1. You do have a little bit of a runoff to save you if you get it all wrong, and then a right left all the way up the hill. I believe it's called the snake through the Dumlot curve. Braking hard into the first of the Degner corners. A bit of curve, but not too much in the second Degner. And then underneath the circuit, where it crosses over there, up to the hairpin. Ooh, that's a nice drift around the hairpin. I'm not sure that's the fastest way around the hairpin, but and up to 200R. And hopefully brake around the spoon curve, keep the momentum up, and that up the long straight up to 130R. So green sector, that's the fastest of anyone in the third there. Whether I'm lagging behind a little because let's have a look. No, that seems to be correct. They went over the line 20 seconds ago. That's very strange. Let's refresh the overlays to see if that's let's have a look at Nick Westy. Nick Westy's just started his lap. So he's now in second because Oliveira has pipped him for practice time. 142.5 he's got to beat. So it looks like there's slight lifts in these first few corners. Really smoking the tyres as well. I did see at least a little bit in Fuji that people were leaning on the tyres a lot. I didn't quite get a word from the drivers whether they did change tyres or not. But we did see a lot of lockups. But I'm sure the vibrations is not ideal, particularly the many corners around Suzuka. I think there's probably only a couple of passing places, but people have got to stay close. So there's a three drivers winner in about a second. Again, the overlays seem to be out of sync with the track action there. Bear with me a second. That's better. There we go, back with the live action. A slow first sector. To the hairpin. Well, you'd have to be very brave to overtake up this section here, around 200R, up to Spoon Curve. I'm sure someone is going to have a good stab at it. Look at some of the other drivers we've got with us. Oops, slight on-track action we got here. Robin Taylor is getting in amongst it. Personal best first sector. Around 200R up to out of the Degness up to no, that is up to Spoon Curve. So these cars do have varying upgrades that you can use. Just the trade-off between the downforce packages. So high, medium, and low. I'd imagine maybe you want to go for a kind of a balance between the two, because you're going to need the straight line speed to use on those long straights. Otherwise, you're going to suffer passing anybody. So a 143 low. And 143.9, 6 rather. So this is actually Nick West's teammate, Black Cat Motorsports. It's a very familiar paint job there of the Renault era. So we have a look at Ken Jagger. He's down 5th place at the moment. He's slightly off the top 4. But there's he's got 2 other teammates in this series for Bad Voices Racing. So Ken Jagger is teammates with Edward Jones and Barrett Ericsson. As Ken Jagger completes his lap and pulls to the side. So here's our winner from last round, Mate Dexdobler. Green in the first sector. This will be his first timed lap. Coming up the back straight. Down towards the hairpin, slightly locking up. Now, Mate was able to keep the tyres alive 2 weeks ago. But tyre wear might become an issue. That's his first lap out, which puts him in 4th place. I'd imagine that the qualifying is going to be quite tight. It will be a private qualifying session. So there will be no drafting opportunities, unfortunately. Because I think that would have provided some good action, but it's obviously to make sure that there's no one getting held up on their laps. So the top 4 are in the 142s. 5th is in the 143s. We have a look with Barrett Ericsson, who's Ken Jagger's teammate. And slow outlap. Not wanting to overheat the tyres too much on the outlap, I'd imagine. Maybe trying for a low fuel run. Well, that didn't quite work, did it? Costas Kanzaris starts his first lap. Now, I did mention to the drivers that it would be handy if a lot of them weren't in a red car, because it seemed like red cars were the thing. You do have plenty of skins to choose from. The skin that Costas has got reminds me of a Sinclair Spectrum. Underneath the track, coming up towards the hairpin. No locking of tyres, the brakes are glowing there. It's green in the first sector rather. Up towards Spoon Curve. No locking of tyres. You don't want to take too much curve to unsettle the car. You don't want to launch it down the straight here. I am intrigued to know. I haven't seen anybody following each other yet, so I'm intrigued to know what drafting is going to be like. Let's hope there's no accidents on the first lap like round 1. Down into the infamous chicane of the early 90s where accidents did happen as he comes into the pits. Right, it looks like we are rolling over to a qualification. Let's see who comes out first. So it's sitting in the garage, waiting for our first driver to come down the pit lane. Oh, it's not a private quali session. This will make things very interesting. Usually it is a private quali. I think because there's quite a small number of drivers, maybe the admins have decided to relax the rules a little. And it looks like teammates may be going out together. In fact, they are not teammates. They just have similar coloured skin as there. So I believe that a lot of people are probably of the opinion of a slow outlap is the thing. It's only a 10-minute session, so they've got to get a move on. It's quite a long lap. We do have a couple of cars that are nose to tail, so I imagine then a couple of people are wanting to get a little bit of a help with draft. The rest of the field is quite spread out. Oliveira out on his own, taking it very, very easy through the first few turns. I believe we have 8 drivers on track this evening. In fact, 9 drivers on track this evening. It's good to actually see some familiar faces. Right, so 4th place. Mate Dax Dobler is the first across the line to start his lap. Into turn 1. No lock-in of tyres. Sweeping through this first section. Quite neat and tidy. I don't see any tyre smoking. Maybe this is just a banker lap. So the times from practice were in the 142s. Let's see if they're going to match the times from practice. again. Not. It's quite neat and tidy. No drama. Up to the hairpin again. Very, very neat and tidy. A little bit of oversteer as he's been followed by Nick Westy, who's purple in the first sector. Unfortunately, they've chosen the same skin, so it's going to be very difficult to tell them apart. Purple in the second sector as well. Coming up to the chicane. Ooh, a little bit of oversteer there. And that's Nick Westy, purple and purple. And Nick Westy currently on pole with Mate Daxdobler in second. The first times come in. We're now in the 140s. 140.6. That's a hell of a fast time. So leaving their low fuel runs for quali. Maybe the 142s are going to be race pace. So 140.6. And the time of second place Mate Daxdobler is 141.2. Maybe that was just a banker lap. But his second lap isn't as fast as it looks like Oliveira's picked up to second place. Again, Nick Westy on his second lap. He's not done a personal best in the first sector. Obviously, the league rules will dictate that you have to do an out lap. Your fast lap and then an in lap. You can't stop out on circuit. If you stop out on circuit, that means your qualifying is over. So 140.6 to beat. Just got one car in the pits at the moment. And a couple of setup tweaks. As Costas is getting a really big draft down the most important part of the circuit. It's purple and purple, so this looks like it's challenging for pole here. As I said, he was well on the pace in Fuji, but an accident knocked him back. So Costas 140.8 as Carl Struhl takes 130R. He's green and green in first two sectors, personal bests. And across the line. And Carl is 7th with a 144.8. Barrett Ericsson going across the line. 146. Some work to do back at the rear of the field. It seems like you can follow quite close, but again, Costas on his second lap is not putting any personal bests in as the car ahead is locking up there. I believe that is 6th place Ken Jagger on a fast lap. He's in 6th place at the moment. So maybe the method is one fast lap. Just gun it for one fast lap, hoping that you are on track for a drafting opportunity up the main straight there, or the back straight rather. Let's see if anyone actually goes for a second flying lap. I believe the pit entry is cutting in there. Yeah, so Costas comes in a bit. So it looks like one flying lap is the thing. Nick Westy going for another one. With 2 minutes and 50 to go. So the current standings are Westy, Kanzurus, Oliveira, Daxdobler and Taylor, top 5. Oliveira has done a personal best in the first sector. Obviously the second sector will stop just after the end of the back straight. That's a lot of curb. So don't want to take too much curb coming onto the back straight. Now, I'm not sure how much track limits you can really push coming out of 130i. It looks flat out. Change of direction now. So a purple for Nick Westy in the first sector. Let's see what they're doing for throttle wise. Third gear, fourth gear, out towards Spoon Curve. Current pole sitter leading by 300ths of a second, it seems like. Fourth, fifth. Let's see what kind of maximum speed they're getting. 270, 280, 284. That was flat to the floor around 130R. And across the line. He's just eked out a couple of hundredths there. Still in pole position. Personal best for Oliveira in second. He's only got to find a tiny bit to get pole. We've only got 23 seconds, so this looks like he's probably going to be his last lap. He's purple in the second sector, so pole is up for grabs here. But he runs a bit too wide. I think he's thrown pole away there. Looks like he's very frustrated with himself. Costas is purple in the first sector, but overdoes it, pushing too hard. So first and second are in the pits. I don't think Costas has an opportunity to improve there. See a little bit of a replay of a unfortunate oversteer moment, we'll call that. Slight nerf of the barrier. Three cars still out on the circuit as Matej Sobla finishes his lap, but only stays fourth. We still have Carl Struhl to finish his lap, I believe. That's Barrett Ericsson. Loops it coming out of the hairpin as well. So it's very easy to go flat foot and spin these cars around. It looks like that might be the end of it, so I don't think Carl Struhl is doing another lap there. He's just coasting into the pits. So, let's see the grid. So for the second round, Nick Westy gets pole. Oliveira is in second. Kanzuris is in third. You can do a lot from there. First round winner, Dax Skobler, is in fourth. Taylor's in fifth. Ken Jagger in sixth. Stroll in seventh. Barrett Ericsson in eighth. And bringing up the rear will be Ed Jones. Now, only time will tell whether Costas will keep all of his wheels on his metaphorical wagon. Because he literally had to come from the back in Fuji 2 weeks ago. So he can possibly do something from here. So we have a 5-minute warm-up session So as I said, it's a mandatory pit stop, whether or not you cannot refuel in these cars. So it is a tyre stop no matter what. You can hear a lot of cars waiting in the end of the pit lane just to get themselves all warmed up. But I'd like to see a clean first lap. I don't want to see any accidents, because it would be a pity. And I imagine that if you can stay with the pack in the first sector, I'm not sure how much aero push these cars have. It's a nice bright orange car. It's an interesting way to come out of the pits. So I believe he's doing a practice start. Going to get your clutch bite point. So I believe Nick Westy doesn't want to throw away from pole there. That's Barry Ericsson in the orange car, having another off-track moment. Coming out of the Degner 2 corner. So Nick Westy further around the lap is still trying to find his clutch bite point. I believe a lot of people are doing a very similar. Maybe they believe that passing isn't a possibility, so their best chance of passing anybody is lap 1. But they've got 60 minutes, and I believe that one stop was the way to go. I saw a couple of people trying a 2-stopper, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was very quick. So it looked like Ken was balancing the car on the throttle and the brake coming through the hairpin. Got to keep it as stable as possible. Bit of trail braking, I believe. But because this is quite a long lap, it's going to take a while for lap cars to come into play. I mean, if you perhaps if you get stuck behind a lap car in the first sector, it's going to be very difficult to pass. I have seen people pass around the outside, around the first snake corners, as they're called. But it is a straight shot into the pits as well. No silly chicanes they've got to negotiate, so see Costas just having his warm-up lap coming into 130R. Brakes glowing there. It'd be nice to see how creative some people are going to be with their passing tonight, particularly a course that is so difficult, notoriously difficult for passing. And will we see any do or die manoeuvres into the last chicane? It's quite a cold day in Japan. I believe we are using a recorded weather from earlier today. So it's 19.8 degrees, track temperature just under 30 degrees Celsius. So it's Ken Jagger doing a couple of practice starts at the end of warm-up. I believe it is a standing start. I don't believe there's any formation lap, so it's just gun it.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Right, we're heading to the grid. It's quite a spaced out grid. They look quite lonely there in the it looks like everyone is sorted. Let's see if those practice starts actually worked. Red lights are on. And off they go up into turn one. There's a spread 4 wide. Slight contact. But it seems that everyone's got through unscathed. That looks like Costas again spinning in the background. Unfortunately, he's got to do the same that he did in the first round. So we're focusing on the rear of the field. Tightly packed. Keeping quite close. Let's see how close the cars can stay. No accidents. And 3/4 of the first lap. As we focus on Ken Jagger being chased by Carl Struhl in the yellow car behind. Up to spoon curve onto the back straight for the first time. Let's have a look at the leader. Pulled a little bit of a gap. Oh, as we see third place taking track limits to the maximum there. So it's Westy, Dax Scobler, Oliveira, Taylor. All within one curve. You can all see them, the entire field on one main straight there. First lap out of the blocks is a 1:44. Remember, this is a 60-minute race. Thankfully, everyone's kept it clean. Costas has dropped down to the rear of the field, but he's still within a shout. But unfortunately, he's got to fight back like he did last round. It's a shame because he did have the pace. It seems that the tyres can be a bit finicky on the first lap. So the big winner out of that start was Dax Scobler in second, up 2 places. And it looks like Nick is running away with this one. And it looks like there's been a pass for position. Third. Robin Taylor is now up to third. I don't know what happened to Mate there. He's dropped down. So we see Taylor coming through the chicane. He's not far away. Didn't see any yellow flags. Field is spreading out quite a lot up the top end here. I'm wondering how strategy is going to come to play, whether people are pacing themselves, which is quite possible. The closest battle on the track at the moment is within 2 seconds, which is for the lead. Again, Nick Whisty is putting in 1:42s. As we go on board. It does look like Oliveira has closed a little. So within 2. Good exit onto the straight. Flat to the floor through 130R. Down gears for the chicane. Slight lock up, it sounds like. So he's not hanging around, he's still pushing. He's the only car that's in the 142s. 42.5. So we go back to Max Scobler chasing down Robin Taylor for third. The rest of the field is in the 143s, 144s. This is Carl Strawn and Ed Jones battling over 8th and 9th. With Costas on his fight back, he's now up to 6th. He's chasing Ken Jagger. Again, I saw a lot of action in Fuji from Cancerous. He was very, very quick, but once he was behind another car, I found it difficult to pass. And this circuit doesn't really lend itself to quick running. As we go back to the battle for third. I think he's just out of the draft range. It's 1 second. Costas is within half a second. Coming up to 130R. Not quite close enough. You're going to need to be within about 0.3 of a second to even have a chance of a dive up there into the chicane, I believe. Closest battle on track between Taylor and Dat Scobler here. There is no DRS in these cars, even though the overlays are saying so. Maybe it would be better if there was DRS. So the leader Nick Westy has pulled out to a 2.3 second lead. So Costas is able to stay with Ken Jagger through these first few turns, and a slight wobble by Jagger. So Costas just needs to stay within about 0.5 of a second in this latter half of the lap. Maybe you can push Ken into a mistake up to the chicane, the hairpin. Ken found the need to defend, which I think caught Kanzurus out as we go back to the battle for third. Dat Scobler needs to be within about 0.4 of a second. Let's see how useful the draft is. So 0.6 of a second. gaining an awful lot. That was an untidy exit onto the straight there. I don't think Kanzouras will be passing Ken Jagger on this lap. Another opportunity to pass within 0.3 of a second. Let's see if we can get anywhere close up to turn 1. The draft is very, very weak. Within about 0.2 of a second. It looks like I'm going to have to wait for a mistake. And the snake, as it were, drops back a little. Costas is still on Ken Jagger's tail. Lighting up the tyres coming through the left-hander there, up to the Degners. This looks like this might rage on for the entire race. We've got two groups of battling cars here. We'll also have to see if anyone's really going to push it to a 2-stop, or whether just pitting at half distance is the way to go. Costa still can't find a way to get onto the back of Ken Jagger. You've got to be, seems like within 0.3. It looks like he's had a better exit there. He's got to stay within draft range now. For a second, it may be that Ken is running a lower downforce setup, so he's able to keep Costas at bay. Onto the mate straight. This is the battle for third, so Taylor may have to defend up to turn 1. This might be the first chance that Skobler's got. Taylor looked like he took to the grass, unfortunately, there. That was very, very close. Top 2 are away. Third and fourth are battling between themselves. And 5th and 6th are doing the same. But they look like they're slowing each other up. But if Costas can actually push Ken into a mistake coming into the Degners. A slight lock of a brake could give an opportunity. So he's ducking around the mirrors. Just Ken feels the need to go defensive. Leaving some rubber on the exit. I wonder if Costas is going to be brave enough to try and get in the draft up to the spoon curve. Not quite close enough. He had a good exit last time out here. Within 0.3 of a second, Ken goes the need to go defensive down the straight here. I think you'd have to be very, very brave to overtake into 130 yards. Looks like he's maybe running a different downforce package. The lead is still with Nick Westy. 2 seconds for Oliveira, Taylor, Dan Skobler and Ken Jagger in 5th. Still trying to find a way by his... Maybe got to think outside the box a little. Maybe show himself in the mirrors at a inopportune moment just to put Ken off. Within 0.2 of a second in this first section of the lap, he's able to stay with Ken up to the straight. So maybe he is running a higher downforce setup than Ken. 2 of a second. So the passing manoeuvres would have to be done in sector 1. Ooh, slight look up the inside there. I don't think that was going to be on. That's the last thing you want to do, is lose the front wing. So it'll be a long journey back to the pits. Back to the battle for third. It seems like there's a bit of a stalemate with these guys too. Not sure of the difference of downforce packages with them. Very well matched. Up the main straight. No, not quite close enough for any kind of manoeuvre. Let's have a look back at Carl Straw and Ed Jones battling over 8th and 9th. Can't quite get close enough. Looks like the leader has pulled out a little bit of a lead. Coming up to the hairpin, not quite close enough. I'm not seeing too much tyre smoke this time. Maybe people have really found the limit of these tyres. Ken saying that, I see a lock up from Ken Jagger, having to take a defensive line into the hairpin. I believe if Kanzouras wants to pass, he's going to need to take a really wide line coming into the hairpin and get a better exit than Ken. So up to 130R for Taylor and Dax Cobbler. Oh, dearie me. How? How was that possible? I thought he was going to miss him. I thought he was actually going to save it as well. But it looks like Taylor's now out on his own. Has Dax Cobbler gone into the pits? He's now down to 6th. So we just catch the tail end of that accident. I think he was very, very unlucky to catch Taylor. And I believe Taylor probably saw him in his mirrors, a car heading backwards towards him. Unfortunately, that has scuppered the battle for 3rd and 4th. But 4th and 5th now. Costas still can't find a way by. So now Dax Cobbler has got to catch up to these two guys. Then it'll be a 3-way battle for 4th place. As I say, maybe a wider line into the hairpin will give him a better exit, but it does look like Ken has him beat on the straights. This battle's going to rage on, I believe. And I wonder whether the you can just see the car of Dax Cobbler in the background there. There's all 3 of them on the straight. It's soon to become a 3-way battle for 4th, I believe. Who's going to be the first to duck in the pits? So we've got 42 minutes to go. So you see that Costas is all over the back of Ken in this first section of the lap. And I think he's maybe got to be very careful with how much he's scrubbing the tyres, but this is probably, it's going to be a pit stop race. So who ducks in first? Is it going to be Jagger or is it going to be Kanzurus? Ken is slightly slow out of that corner, but he has the advantage for going defensive into the hairpin. There wasn't quite enough space coming up to the hairpin. That's a good exit onto the main straight. Now he just needs to stay with Jagger coming up to 130R. It looks like he's just out of reach. Even with the draft, he just doesn't have the pace. This is going to be a long race for Kanzurus. As we can see, Dax Gobbler is shadowing behind there, dipping in and out of a couple of seconds. So what more has Kanzurus got up his sleeve in order to put Ken on his back foot, so to speak? It's got to maybe think a little bit laterally, because he's all over him in this first part. So I don't think there's any opportunity up to the Degners there. It's far too tight. Now it's normally this section here where Ken goes on the defensive, so he can park it in the middle of the track. I believe an opening might come if he overcooks the hairpin. But Kanzurus is going to need to be close enough to take advantage. So with 39 minutes to go, it's still Westy in the lead from Oliveira. That's a good exit onto the back straight. 0.2 of a second, it's still not enough. I thought that was going to be a move there, but didn't quite have the stopping power. But this is bringing Dax Gobbler into play. He's getting closer and closer. He's only 1.6 seconds behind his battle. 1.6 seconds. So you kind of feel that Kanzurus in some ways is being held up, particularly through this section here. I do wonder as well where the tactics are going to come into play. Pushing it a bit too much coming out of that turn there. Tactics are going to come into play. Could Kanzurus let Dax Gobbler through? And perhaps he can maybe punch a hole in the air and maybe open the door for Kanzurus. He's shadowing at 1.5 seconds behind this battle now. You can see him only just in the mirrors. The leader has now pulled out to a 4.4 second lead. Fastest lap time of 1:43.7 last time out. But second place has put in a 1:43.4. So it's not letting him get away. Right, now Dax Gobbler's going to really have to push. That was a wise decision. He's the first to pit. It's about 37. Is this a replay? This is a replay. It looks like Oliveira has lit up the tyres coming out the first turn. And he's probably going to make contact with the barrier. And spins around. Is he going to lose another place as we get another look? He didn't quite lose a position. It looks like, unfortunately, Dax Gobbler's probably got a speeding penalty. That's unfortunate. In the he came into the pits so he wouldn't get involved in this battle here. Unfortunately, he's shot himself in the foot and got a pit speed. I think a lot of people are under the impression that the pit speed limiter will slow the car down, when in fact it does not. You've actually got to be under the limit before you put the pit speed on, and then come up to the pit speed limit. There is only about 0.5 to 1 kilometre an hour leeway with the pit speed, so it's quite tight. So if we have a look back to 6th place. So Dax Gobbler on fresher tyres out the pits. I believe he's probably got a bit of a pace advantage. Barrett Ericsson. As Barrett Ericsson comes in for his pit stop with Mate behind, but he's serving his drive-through. Thankfully it was just a drive-through, I believe, and not a stop and go. But that has screwed up his race a touch. Kanzura still can't find a way by Ken Jagger. It's probably about time that maybe he doesn't want to pit for tyres until Ken pits for tyres, so he can possibly overcut. Maybe it was a stop and go because Barrett Ericsson and Dax Gobbler have come out together. So it looks like it's Oliveira coming to the pits as well, because he's dropped 15 seconds. That's Barrett Ericsson taken to the grass, and Dax Gobbler says thank you very much. It looks like now Taylor is in the pits. Taylor's in the pits from 3rd. That will drop him down the order, so you can see him in the background there. That's Jagger and Kanzouras coming through. So what does Kanzouras do? Is he overcut or undercut? Is he overcut or undercut? A place on the podium is up for grabs here. Still can't stay with him through the latter stages of this lap, but it's the first part of the lap which is his strongest. He was able to catch up quite easily as Ed Jones pits from 7th. There we go, there's one mistake into the hairpin as he lights up the tyres. Does this give an opportunity? Not quite enough space. Not quite enough space. But that's one mistake. It looks like he's weaker into the hairpin, so that's a button to push. That is a button to push. Put the pressure on. Because it doesn't look like he's going to be able to pass on pace up these straights. With 31 minutes to go, who's going to be the first to blink? I wonder if Nick Westy is maybe pacing himself out front. It's quite a fast lap time. We saw lap times of 141s in quali. Practice times were in the 143s, 144s. So we can stay with them through here. I don't think there's a way to get a pass on up to the Degners here. Just show yourself in the mirrors and hopefully the car in front makes a mistake. Is Ken going to make a mistake up to the hairpin? Doesn't feel the need to defend this time. Was that another penalty for Dat Skobler there? Or was that the fastest lap? Dat Skobler did a 1:42.4. I believe that must have been the fastest lap. Now with fresher tyres, as Nick Westy, the leader, is coming into the pits. He had an 11-second buffer, or 15-second buffer, I believe. And it looks like Oliveira's coming into the pits. So Nick Westy is just going to leave just before him. He's going to maintain the lead. So you can see him just coming out there. Oliveira is going to drop down the order. But when are these two going to pit? 30 minutes remaining. Maybe they're deciding on pitting in the latter stages so they have fresher tyres. But I'm just wondering who's going to blink first. This is the closest battle on track. Slight mistake coming out of the Degners, but I think Kanzuris made one too, until he drops back up to the hairpin. So that's Carl Stroll, pits from 7th place. Apologies if you can hear fireworks outside. You can see Ed Jones still shadowing Barrett Ericsson. I believe Ed Jones has got fresher tyres than Barrett Ericsson. And they are very close. I believe after Barrett Ericsson's off. Drop back a bit. Kanzuris is the first to pit. So Ken Jagger needs some fast laps now. You can see him in the background coming into the pits. Oliveira takes back 2nd place. So we need some quick outlaps from Kanzuris to we'll see if Ken, who's now in 2nd place, let's see if he's coming in the next lap. We'll also keep an eye on Kanzuris' lap times. So three cars within one straight there. Keeping an eye on the timesheets when the fast laps come in. The leader's got 12 seconds on Ken Jagger that's still yet to pit. So we'll see. Ken Jagger is actually coming up to the chicane. So we'll see whether it's a new best lap time for Nick Westy on fresh tyres, 1:42.2. So Ken Jagger is staying out. Ken Jagger, his last lap time was a 1:44.3. Costas in 5th. He's just coming across the line now, so we're going to see what kind of lap times he's going to do. So his out lap was a 2:04. I don't think he would have had to fix any damage. Some of the cars are very spaced out. We haven't even checked in with the leader for a little while. He's been out on his own for the past 35 minutes. Must be a bit of a lonely race, pacing yourself, but he's got several seconds in hand. So goes through 130R. No, not even a hint or a lift. Slight lock up coming into the chicane. So 1:42.2 the last time out. That's a 1:41.6. That is the fastest lap of the race. So he's pushing on. Is he going for a 2-stop? He's got 15 seconds on second place. He may have a pit stop in hand due to Oliveira's accident. Now down to 3rd, but Ken Jagger is yet to pit. He's still staying out. Maybe he's hoping that. Unfortunately, Costas is now putting a 1:42.0. Ken Jagger is doing a 1:44.6. Now we do have a mandatory pit stop, so Ken Jagger is probably maybe leaving it to the last minute to pit for tyres, but he is hemorrhaging lap time. Now it does say on the timesheets that a couple of people haven't pitted, but that is untrue, because we know for a fact that Dax Gobbler has and Kanzurus has 17 seconds in hand. Although 3rd place is a net 2nd place. Let's jump back to 7th and 8th. It looks like this is the closest battle on track. Another fastest lap time for Nick Westy, 1:41.4. So 7th, 8th and 9th are the closest on the track. You see the back of this battle is Carl Sturl in a yellow car. I believe at this rate Ken Jagger is going to get overhauled with a lap time of 1:44.7 and Costas doing a 1:42.1. He's probably going to exit the pits with about 5 seconds ahead. I'm sure he didn't want to pit too early, because he would have had to do the majority of the race on a set of tyres. Barrett just touched the grass there down the straight, slightly scary. So still waiting for Ken Jagger to pit. This is Oliveira, who's coming up to pass Ken Jagger now, who has yet to pit. Looks like he's pushing on. Oliveira last time out 1:42.1. Still not as good as Nick Westy's 1:41.4. We've struggled to see any passing in this race. There's been a lot of following, but not many chances to pass. As Ken Jagger comes into the pits, and Oliveira takes back the second place. Is this a spin from Carl Stroll? I believe it might be. Looks like he might be lighting up the tyres coming out of one of the Degners. No, maybe not. I think the computer system might be a little confused. But it looks like 5th place there was a yellow flag for 5th place, which is Ken Jagger. Oh, 9th place. Coming up to the hairpin. He is just about to be lapped at the rear of the field there. So Nick Westy is coming up to lap 9th. The field is spacing out a little. So he did indeed. Ken Jagger came out of the pits and wasn't able to hang on to that 4th place. In fact, he's dropped 11 seconds. So staying out for a longer period did not work, but he does have fresher tyres. So I'll be keen to see what Ken Jagger can do on fresher tyres. From 5th place. As Ed Jones still trying to follow Barrett Ericsson. These two are in the 146s. So maybe they did opt for a higher downforce setup. So that spin for Oliveira did put pay to any chances of a win. I believe tonight he's now way down from 1st place. I believe at Fuji 2 weeks ago he did have a chance of the win, but the mistakes came into play there as well. So with 19 minutes to go, it's Westy, Oliveira, Taylor, Kantzuris, Jagger, Dax Gobler, Ericsson, Jones and Straw. So Kantzuris has had to fight his way back up the field yet again. He started from the rear of the field on lap 1. And it looks like he's catching Taylor. So now being released from Ken Jagger, it looks like a podium place is up for grabs. Kantzuris did start higher up the field. As we dip back to the battle for 7th and 8th between Ericsson and Jones. Staying within about 1.5 seconds. They seem very well matched. And up to the end of the lap. So unfortunately we are following 2 cars which are exactly the same in their paint schemes. So Kantzuris is 1.9 behind, similar to this battle for 7th and 8th. I can't remember who actually pitted first. I think that Taylor may have older tyres than Kantzuris. So 1.6 seconds, staying very, very stable. Robin Taylor is in the 143.3s. Kantzuris can manage under the 142 high. So this looks like it's only a matter of time. It's within a second now. I mean, whether this is going to be the same as the battle with Ken Jagger, he's able to breeze up to the back of the cars. But once he gets close, he's not able to make an impression. Whether or not Robin Taylor was running a different downforce setup than Ken Jagger was. And this battle has closed down for 7 1/8 as well. It's now around a second. So Ed Jones is creeping in. And this battle as well, now under a second. Robin Taylor versus Kanzuris. So how close can he get? He's got to get within about 0.3 of a second coming onto the back straight. We'll see when Taylor feels the need to go defensive. He is gaining a little bit on the main straight. And it seems a pity that that Scobbler has that spin and that pit lane penalty. He's dropped himself down to 6th. I mean, he could have been in this battle for the podium place, which is unfortunate. As again, Kanzuris can close in this early section of the lap. So we go on board. Is Taylor going to... He doesn't feel the need to go defensive. And Kanzuris braked a little later than he needed to there. But it looks like they're very well matched. Coming up the spoon curve. Now he needs to stay as close as possible coming out of this never-ending left-hander. Coming onto straight with 0.3. Maybe it's going to be the same as Ken Jagger. Looks like he pulled out 0.2 of a second. So either he's maybe just got to be a little bit closer, or he's maybe going to put him off in the infield section as he locks the tyres coming into the chicane. With 14 minutes to go, the leader has now pulled out a 25-second lap. 25-second lead, rather. We're watching 3rd and 4th. You see, the long straights are really, really painful for Kanzuris. He's not able to even get close. This is where he's strong. So it doesn't look like aero wash is really a thing. I'm not seeing too much wear on the tyres. I think it's gonna take a mistake at one of the slower corners for Taylor. But whether or not he can, once Kanzuris gets ahead, is he going to be able to stay ahead? That's the thing. Slight oversteer coming out the hairpin means he's slow up to the spoon curve. Coming onto the straight, you don't want to take too much curb coming out of the spoon curve. He's nowhere near close enough than he was. Going to regroup for another go. I believe everyone has pitted, so don't believe what you see on the overlays. Everyone has pitted. Whether or not Kanzuris is just regrouping a little, he may have overheated his tyres. Back to 7th and 8th. Still at stalemate, although it has closed in a little. It's now 1.2 seconds. So a bit of a tit for tat at the rear of the field here. Dropping back to Taylor and Kanzuris. He's staying within about 0.6 per second in this first part of the lap. Oh, slight mistake from Taylor coming up to the hairpin. He's vulnerable coming up to the hairpin. Feels a need to go a bit defensive down the middle of the track. slight oversteer moment coming out of the hairpin means he's slow onto the coming out of the hairpin. Taylor is withstanding a lot of pressure here. His mirrors are full of that white car of Kanzurus. So you can get onto the straight with 0.6 or so, but you just can't hang with the car in front. I don't believe that there should be any damage that would be slowing Kanzurus down aerodynamically. As Taylor lights up the tyres, it's a slight mistake. Kanzurus needs to capitalise. Robin's going to go defensive. No, he doesn't feel the need, but that's Kanzurus shows his nose. There's 10 minutes to go to settle the battle for third place. Feels like no matter what Kanzurus has done, he's always had someone to chase, or in some cases stuck behind. So he's as close as he's ever been. He's been within 0.2 of a second coming onto the straight. Is the draft going to help up to 130R? He's still dropping back. So even within 0.2 of a second coming onto the main straight, or the back straight, he's not able to stay with him up to 130R. Maybe this knowledge will be useful for the upcoming rounds. The upcoming rounds are less straight dependent. They are a bit more, maybe more medium to high downforce circuits. Although Autopolis does have a very similar layout to here, very high downforce sections with a couple of straights. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see if I may ask the drivers to see if they maybe want to give away what downforce setups they are using. Again, lap after lap. No lock-ups of tyres, everyone's keeping it tidy. I saw Kanzurus' brakes very hot there, the front and the rear, but I only saw Taylor's front being glowing, so I wonder whether that's helping. Not quite close enough to do anything this lap around. So with just over 7 minutes, it's still Westy leads, Oliveira second. This battle for third and fourth races on between Taylor and Kanzurus. Jagger back in 5th, Dax Dobler in 6th, Ericsson in 7th, with Ed Jones just behind it in 8th, and Carl Stroll in 9th. Looks like this maybe slight understeer creeping in, but he's able to run over the curbs. I don't see the tyres being worn at all. A lot of understeer coming up the hill as we go into the Degner corners. Oh, slightly slow up to the hairpin. This could be his best opportunity. There's a lap car coming into play. So 9th place of Karl Struhl. Is that going to give an opportunity to Kanzouras? It just depends where they catch that car. If they're very lucky, it may just be on the main straight. I don't think they're quite close enough to catch him up the back straight. He's within 0.3, but still not close enough. He's just waiting for a mistake. That car may come into play. He's heading into the pits, so that takes that out of the equation. I think that is Karl's second stop. So that's that worry out the way. No chance of a lapped car coming in between this battle for 3rd and 4th. 5 minutes to go. The lead is that Nick Westy has is 24 seconds. So Kanzouras he's got to be creative, got to do something a bit different than he has been lap after lap. I think Taylor has got used to the moves he's pulled, but he does have the pace, or he does have the straight line speed to be able to pull a gap on these high speed sections. But Kanzouras is running out of time. And he can't quite get onto the main straight quick enough in order to stay in the draft. Will it be a mistake from Taylor that loses his step on the podium? As Ed Jones and Ericsson are still battling away. Maybe Jones is put in a last push at the end. Again, you need to be, it seems you need to be within about 0.2 of a second. I'm wondering whether that was Kanzouras' last effort, or maybe he's building up to one last try. So you see Taylor might just be slowing a little in this section, but Kanzouras is able to keep with him. He's slightly slow coming out of here. He's weak coming out up to the hairpin. But as we saw from when Kanzouras was battling Ken Jagger, a solid defense is to just hug the middle of the road. So Kanzouras has got to think of something to put Taylor off. Again, coming onto the straight within about 0.3 of a second, but he's just not able to stick with him. As further down the field, we see 5th and 6th getting closer together. So Dax Gobler is actually closing in on Ken Jagger. So Dax Gobler may end up with a top 5 at the end of the race, but he's got 2 minutes to catch 1.4 seconds, which on this track seems to be an eternity. So the leader's just coming up to the hairpin now. So it looks like there's probably going to be 2 laps left. Trying something a bit different with wider lines, it looks like. Ducking around Taylor's mirrors just to put him off. He does seem to take a bit too much curb there. Hits the dirt as well, but he stays the middle of the track. There is no way through. Now this is as close as he's ever been. This is his final push. This is where he's got to stay as close as possible. I think this is as close as he's ever been, between 0.1, 0.2. Let's see if he can get a good exit. I don't believe he has. So all that time he made up in that last section. So I believe that Nick Westy must be on his last lap, because he's already come over the line. So Ed Jones was indeed putting a final push in. Either that or Barrett Ericsson is running out of tyres near the end of the race. And we're back with third and fourth. It doesn't look like that battle for fifth and sixth is dramatically going to close. It is within 1.2 seconds. But we're concentrating on this battle for third and fourth. This last podium position. Again, Taylor is weak up to this section here, so if Kanzouras can put him off coming out of the chicane. Yep, he's found his weakness. You're going to need to have a wheel alongside, but he can't quite get there. Cut away just as Nick Westy is coming through 130R. As Ken Jagger, it looks like Ken Jagger has DNF'd on the last lap. I don't know if that's a disconnection or a crash. Hopefully there wasn't a coming together between a couple of cars as Nick Westy comes over the line for a dominant victory at Suzuka. As we wait for Oliveira, 25 seconds back, to finish in second place. As Nick Westy is doing donuts here. We want to focus on this battle. It looks like Ed Jones didn't quite make it. And not quite within 0.2 of a second over the line for the podium positions. And Carl Stroll, I believe, is the last car to make it across the line. I believe Ken Jagger is still going to get 6th place because he was a lap ahead of the guys behind. But wow, what a race! What a race! So let's have a look at the results. So if we look at the session results, we'll see that Nick Westy has a dominant victory in Suzuka. Second at Oliveira. Taylor is third. Very, very close behind Kanzouras in fourth. Unfortunate accident at the beginning. Having to work his way back through the field. Same with Mate Daxtobler. Unfortunate pit speed penalties had put pay to a podium for him. Ken Jagger in 6th. DNF'd at the last minute. We'll have to find out what happened to Ken Jagger. And Barrett Ericsson gets 7th. Ed Jones in 8th. And Carl Stroll in 9th. What a race. What a race. So, as I said, this championship happens every 2 weeks. It's technically the Super Formula Renault Championship is following the Super Formula calendar. So all Japanese tracks. And next time we are going to be heading to something a little different. A place called Autopolis. It's a little flatter. High-speed corners like there were at Suzuka, but less elevation change. So there may be less variation in downforce packages as it seemed to be today. It seemed to be, or seemed to me, that the passing was very, very difficult because of a variation in downforce packages. Couldn't quite get on the back of the car in front. It was vital, and I think some people did think ahead and thought, well, I just have to bear with the car through the twisty section and gun it down the straight because I'm going to be weak onto the straight. So that seemed to be the way that it worked. It looked like a lot of people opted for a one stop. So we will tabulate the standings and we'll have them for you in 2 weeks, which should be cool. So I'm hoping everyone enjoyed that race as much as I did. Apologies for the fireworks that you probably heard over the microphone, as the neighbours seem to be letting off fireworks a little early for bonfire night, because we're not even in November yet. But apologies. So as I say, we had 9 drivers today. We did expect 14. Unfortunately, maybe the time change did screw a few people up. We did clocks did go back in the UK here, so maybe that screwed a few people up. Hopefully, we'll see if I can encourage a few more drivers to do battle, because the more drivers, the better. And obviously, if you're watching this and you want to have a go, be sure to log on to simracingonline.co.uk and join us. It would be nice to have you with us. But I really enjoyed the battles on track. There seemed to be not a lot of passing, but potential passing, which is sometimes better than the quantity of passes. But really enjoyed that. I'm hoping you did too. I'm going to be back next week for actually driving, so I'm going to be behind the wheel, do it in the WEC Championship. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.